Hello there, we're here, we're on the T430 once more, and I'm about to test run some Elite Dangerous Horizons. And we're on the power limited setting at the moment, power saver, so I'm going to switch it to balanced. Now you may hear a lot of fan noise, unfortunately, but I tested this yesterday and the power saver mode is a little glitchy, but I'm concerned about temperatures. But it was at a stable temperature when I played it yesterday. Need to live. I shall return when the game has loaded. So first game today, we're going to look at some performance in Elite Dangerous. So first thing I'm going to do is look here in options, graphics, and so this is where I had it to get it nice and balanced yesterday. We got 30 frames per second for smoothness and not too much resources, but I actually had quality on Ultra yesterday, so we're going to try Ultra first, and I think it should work nicey. There may be glitching, there may not. This always glitches, so that's not indicative. I've just heard the fan turbo, and the graphics card's just kicked in as well down here. But in theory, I'm just gonna quickly see what CPU temperature we're getting. So we're getting 78 on the CPU. Oh, that's not good. Oh.
This is flight control. Please note that access to the station is by authorization only.
Hardpoint's deploying. Let's see. No, not social. Sorry, I am slightly disoriented. Controls. Default context, we want advanced control pad 2. Then put my hard points away. So basically, yeah, as you can see, we checked the temperature, we were getting about 70 degrees. I'm not seeing any stuttering in the device. Tracked hard point should be there. But yeah, it basically functions. What could we do? We could... Oh, I've got the wrong control pad setting. I'm not used to this control pad setting. Advanced controls, we actually want to go to control pad with your, there we go. And there is one or the other. But yeah, this is on Ultra, there we go. Hard points retracted, good, this means it's working. So in theory now, I should be able to jump somewhere, which will be slightly taxing on the CPU. And so if we go to Demiri Prospect, Lock and Super Cruise, line up, get throttled up.
Ready to engage. 4, 3, 2, 1, engage.
Little stutter there, I don't know whether you noticed that. It might be more obvious on the video than it was in person. But if you really want it to perform better, you could go to, not controls, graphics, and drop this down to Ultra. It is working perfectly acceptable to me with the odd glitch, but I think high is probably better in terms of stability and in terms of, let's just mute Windows. There we go, because I probably don't want the music playing just in case I get a DMCA stroke or something like that. Yeah, so in terms of usability and performance, I think high settings is the sweet spot for this with the eGPU. But I could, in theory, how do I drop out Super Cruise with this controller? I've forgotten. No. Just trying to remember. Super Cruise assist. Yeah, let's go back there. Line up. Lining up. But yeah, I know this game and its performance pretty well, so I'm fairly comfortable with playing it at this resolution. Now on my desktop I managed to run this game with triple monitors in high settings with this graphics card, so it's not an unreasonable ask for the graphics card. We're getting a bit of stuttering there, whether you can tell on the footage. Yeah, a bit of stuttering where it's going out and in and out of the, but I'd say that's a passable experience. And just to reiterate the graphics settings, we're on high at 1080p, full screen, 60 Hz, 30 frames per second, and that's about all I can tell you really. So yeah, we'll be back with the next game on the list. So the next game, and actually, yeah, the next game we've got is Euro Truck Simulator 2. Now again, the reason I've chosen this is because I know this game really well in terms of its performance, especially with this graphics card. I just wanted to say I've now gone back down to power saver, so I've throttled back down to 2.81 as the maximum CPU usage. It can be played with. I may feature some bonus footage or something where we try and find that sweet spot. I'm not sure because this video is getting quite long, but I just wanted to show Euro Truck Simulator 2. And graphics settings were on custom settings, so we've got ultra, then we're going to go to scaling 300%. This is what it normally functions on my desktop as, so we're going to try that at 1080p and see if it runs stably. Excuse me, I'm burping. I've had far too much coffee. So yeah, my theory is I'm trying this game on the low power settings, or the power saver setting, to hopefully eradicate that stuttering. I don't know how to turn my lights on. Let's have a look. Lights. There we go. Right. Reset view. So I know this game quite well. It appears to be performing. No, I don't normally play with the steering wheel, so you have to excuse my confusion with the view. It is performing more or less identically. I'm not seeing any stutters. Let's change the. I won't do that now, but yeah, normally I would have the steering a bit more sensitive as well. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm not seeing any stuttering. It's on 300% scaling, so that's the resolution scaled up 300 times, so 3 times the performance, the demand on the graphics card, and this is with it throttled as well, so that's gotten rid of the stuttering that we experienced. So I'm just gonna wait and see what happens. But it can be a fairly taxing game graphically, but it's not that taxing a game in terms of performance. So, keep doing that. It is taxing, however, on the brain box when you've got the sensitivity of the steering so low. Right, and I'm not used to playing like this. I normally have a steering wheel and pedals. Point is, it runs flawlessly with comparable performance on exactly the same settings that my desktop uses. So this is a good sign. I'm just going to enjoy speeding briefly and then pull over, and yeah, we'll move on to the next game. I'm only going to test 3. I'm going to choose which one in a second, so yeah, see you shortly. So I know it's an old game, but it's got some maxed out specs on the special edition. So here we have Skyrim. We're just going to see video hardware was not identified, so it's having trouble with the eGPU. That's interesting. So reset. Yeah, it's not recognizing. Let's just try ultra, why not? Advanced window mode 1080p. Alright, we're going to try and load in a 1080p windowed. Let's see if I should change that back now to, yeah, it's not recognizing that for some reason. Possibly because there's multiple GPUs, because it technically still includes the Intel HD 4000 graphics. Let's see if it's stable. I'm curious. I'm curious to see the performance. If it takes a while to load in, there we go, I just need to click it. That's a stuttery mess. That could be a potential GPU identification issue. So let's just load it in like that anyway, see if it crashes the computer. Excuse my coffee. Not COVID, I smoke too much tobacco. So the GPU's kicked in now, so that's good. So we might be in luck. And I might return off the power saver settings as well, if it's as stuttery as I think it's going to be. Have we got a controller? Yeah. And I think it was just that opening menu that was the issue, because it seems like, oh fuck, no, don't burn the goat. Oof, that was a bad idea. Now make this goat love me. That's my goat friend now. He's not going to be happy with me. Won't happen again. Oops, daisy. So yeah, what did we learn? We learned that it runs, basically. It seems to be very little stuttering. There we go. I put it in cheeky god mode for those of you who sort of noticed that. And first person mode seems to be just as you can see, I'm running a completely unmodified version of Skyrim Special Edition. But in theory, this should work on 4K. So I think something that I'm going to test next will be, I don't know if this will work, but I'm going to try and use virtual super resolution now in 4K on a game that I know is stable. So I'm going to set that up and then you'll see what the result is. So here we go. I'm pretty certain this isn't going to be stable, but we've got full 4K at 175% scaling using virtual super resolution in the AMD graphics menu. Now I'm umming and ahhing, I'm just deciding, well, you'll see what happens. Tomb Raider I normally test and I know it's going to be relatively stable on this system, so I'm going to try it at 4K. It's just the first of the reboot series, and it's just a classic one for me to test. So I'm going to see how this performs. We're still on the mobility center. We're still on the throttled power saver setup. And what we got 4K, 60 Hz, double buffer VSync, quality normal. Let's try and get that up to high, or should we try and detect what it thinks is the best thing to do? Put it on high. Right. Now obviously I'm using the HD 60, so this isn't native 4K, it's just virtual super resolution, as it probably wouldn't be detected otherwise. But we'll see how this works. So what I'm going to do, probably, that's just a glitch in the video, it does that anyway, it's not actually it glitching out. And I'm going to try, in classic TechDave styling, running the benchmark on the original reboot. I can sit through it, and I might just edit it out if it's long-winded and boring. But it seems to not be having any issues by the looks of it, but we'll see when you get the frame rate. And as you can probably hear, GPU's firing up. CPU is quite stable, it's not making too much noise, but obviously the GPU is firing up because it's under load. And this is supposedly at 4K on high settings. 30 to 60, I'm happy. CPU's picked up a little bit, GPU's picked up a little bit with this sort of expansive scene. I like what I'm seeing. Just on looking at it, it looks great. I think it looks great in the recording as well. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it running and shut the hell up. So there you can see, right, at 4K on high settings, we're getting minimum, so 1% lows, 44, max 60, so we've had VSync on, and average is 58. So that's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad. And like, your mileage may vary, you know. And in terms of the benchmark, I'm quite pleased at 4K. The only other thing I dare run at 4K is possibly Skyrim. So options. We want to put this up to 4K. I'm gonna not destroy it by putting it on high quality here. Yeah, it doesn't recognise that. So 4K borderless. Drum roll, please. We're going to do this in this same take just to see what actually happens. The GPU is firing up like a beast, but CPU is sounding okay. Oh, it's put it right the way off screen. That's funny. Don't know if I'll be able to load in without seeing. So it's actually put it like 4K because it's borderless. So I actually need to. Oh well, let's see if it runs it anyway, even though we're only getting quarter of the screen. I'm only getting quarter of the screen as well. Think it's gonna crash? Oh, it crashed! We found something it couldn't do. Okay, that's alright. Just for funsies. No, I don't want to rinse my CPU. Whatever. That's fine. So, we've tested Elder Scrolls Skyrim Special Edition. Elite Dangerous on Ultra. A little bit glitchy, but that was on the non-power saving setting. Euro Truck Simulator 2 on Ultra, and Tomb Raider on 4K on high. So within reason, you know, there's facility and there's reason to believe that this is a usable setup and that it is performing better than it did before. I'm just going to get all the settings on this sorted, and then I shall return with my summary and conclusion. So here we are for one last time in Task Manager. We've got idling at 57 degrees here with the clock speed of 1.18 GHz. Ultimately, if in terms of can I recommend this upgrade, only if you come up with a better cooling solution, really. It's worth it to me, and I've already spent the money, so I might as well just use it as it is. But I'm definitely not going to do the promised overclock. I've underclocked it significantly, so that's a thing. But in terms of price to success and usability of this actual upgrade, if I do get it overclocked stably to 4 GHz, you'll find out about it on Twitter and possibly a brief video on YouTube. But the point I'm making is that I don't think the cooling is adequate for a 4 gig overclock. And if I'm honest, the temperatures I'm getting are with up into the 90s without the power saving settings on, makes me doubt whether this was a good idea. I'm not going to lie, it probably dropped the ball a bit. Could have gone with a 35 watt TDP CPU, but ultimately the money's spent, and I can always transplant that into a T530 or a W530 later on down the line and overclock that, which is something I'd be open to doing because I want one of those devices, but that's going to be way off in the future. Would I recommend this? Yes, but with a different CPU, because it's shown, and if you're willing to downclock it and you think you might be able to get a better cooling solution, it could be worthwhile. Like I'm finding it I didn't notice any performance degradation, didn't get any crashes at all, really, with it just running at the standard power consumption. It was just when I noticed the temperatures that it really started to freak me out. So if I put it on balance, for example, and then just leave that for a little bit, you might see it start spiking. I don't know. Yeah, my general conclusion is that it was an excessive CPU, basically. And if I can think of a way to make it cool better, I'm gonna do it. I don't know whether I can upgrade just the fan module and give it that bit more oomph, or whether it's just an inherent limitation. I'll probably use it in another device eventually. Maybe buy like an i5 dual core W530 or T530, and then smash in 32 gigs of RAM, smash in the quad core 8-thread CPU with much more efficient cooling, and yeah, but I think I'm just fantasizing at this point, so it's not so disappointing. But sincerely, it's very usable with an eGPU setup. I've managed to edit a 35-minute video with ease, with no issues whatsoever, and render it in about 50 minutes. And the temperatures have leveled off now. Where's my... So, like, yeah, we're on 60 degrees idle, and that's with the balanced power setup. And I mean, I could, in theory, use the eGPU power setup and listen to it fire up, but I just don't like doing that. So, my recommendations, if you're already in this situation, would be to get ThinkPad fan control, TP fan control. I would get throttle stop. The idle rain BIOS mode was a great idea. I don't regret it, and I'll show you why. Because I've just bought a 4G LTE wireless module up to 100 megabits per second UK, which is it's M.2. Shouldn't be touching that properly. M.2 module, but you can adapt it with MSATA adapter, which is on the way in the post. And then because the whitelist has been removed from the BIOS, I can then use 100 megabit per second, which is probably going to work out something like 30 to 45, something like that megabits per second in the UK, probably a bit less. But on the go, that's actually great. Like, and I think I'm probably going to use what provider was it? Well, if I do, I might make a video about it and tell you what provider. But I believe it was EE as the fastest 4G speeds that are on the correct LTE band. And yeah, I don't regret doing this. And you can hear the hesitation in my voice. I can't recommend doing it, but I don't regret doing it. So I have been TechDave. I think it's just crashed out. No, it hasn't. Cool. I've been TechDave, and I hope this wasn't too long-winded and boring, and you've learned something useful in this sort of vague sense of entertainment. And yeah, take it easy.